welcome to a new vlog and video. We're taking a look at the last 2 days on board of the Costa Toscana, day 6 and day 7. On day 6 we are in Savona and on day 7 we are reaching Marseille again, where this cruise will end, and here on the sea map you can see our route today. On day 6 I was waking up when the ship was just going into the port of Savona. I enjoyed a nice breakfast and then it was time to leave the ship. Savona is the home port of the Costa ships, and that also means that this is the PAX exchange day. Of course, on Costa ships you can embark and disembark in every port, but most passengers are embarking and disembarking here in Savona. So it was a stressful day for the crew, but for me it was just another day. As on my last cruise I had a quite bad experience with embarking in Savona. I decided this time to try a different port, and therefore this time I was embarking in Marseille, and so I had just a regular day today here in Savona. As I've been to Savona before and already showed the city to you, today I decided to take a train and go to Genoa. Genoa is a very beautiful city as well. It was also an interesting train ride. That will be the topic of the next video. But as you can see, just as Savona, also Genoa is a very beautiful city. It's absolutely worth a visit with beautiful buildings, small alleys, very interesting architecture. Also, this church is very beautiful, even though the interior is quite dark, but still a very beautiful building. But as you can see here, there's so many nice squares and so many beautiful buildings, so Genoa is absolutely worth a visit. Genoa is also pretty interesting for everybody who is interested in trains and public transportation, and that will be the topic of the second to next video. There we will take a look at a few different trains and the public transport here in Genoa. Unfortunately, the weather was everything but good today. It was raining and I was soaking wet, I think 3 times throughout the day. So of course the weather was not very good. So I was not spending too much time in the city center, even though the city is very beautiful, and if the weather is better you can spend many hours here discovering this beautiful city center. But now it's time to head back, and we are jumping back to Savona. Here I'm heading back to the ship. Walking from the train station to the ship means that you have to go all the way through the city center, so you're anyway gonna see a bit of Savona. And Savona is also a port where you can take very nice pictures of your cruise ship, and that's what we're gonna do next. Here we can see the impressive Costa Toscana. I'm not sure why, but to me she looks much bigger than the Aida Nova. Maybe it's because it doesn't have a hull painting, maybe it's a different reason, I couldn't figure it out, but to me she looks even more massive than the Aida Nova. Even though those ships are sister ships and they're almost the same size, just some slight differences. But Costa Toscana is a very impressive and huge cruise ship. And we're now heading back on board, and in the evening it was time to leave Savona, heading back to Marseille. And here we can see a beautiful departure from Savona in a time lapse. Usually you're going out of the port backwards, turning on the open seas, and then continuing on to the next port, which in many cases is just like in our case, Marseille. Of course, we're gonna take a look at the departure also with my regular camera, where you can see a bit more. It's a bit better when it's dark outside than the GoPro. So here we are now going out of the port backwards, and then we're turning at the open seas. And usually, at least if you're cruising in the winter time, it's a very beautiful departure because you can see the coastline already illuminated, all those houses, so it's a very beautiful sight to leave the port of Savona. In the evening I then had a very special dinner planned because it is the last day on board. So usually on the last day on board of a cruise ship, I'm always trying to have a special dinner. And of course I went into the best restaurant on board, which is the Archipelago. Here you can enjoy a menu planned by a Michelin star chef. There are 3 chefs. You can choose a menu from one of them. As I was traveling on the same route now than just a few weeks earlier on, it was the same menu. So this time I went for a different menu. I tried the menu of Angel Leon, a Spanish chef, and his special ingredient for this menu is plankton. So that's why you can see this green powder or a lot of green components in the menu. That is plankton. It was a very, very good and nice and tasty menu. I think it is a bit easier to understand than the menu of Bruno Barbieri that I had last time. It's a bit easier. So maybe this is a better option to go to if you're not that experienced with fine dining. But of course you need to try all those menus to be sure which is your favorite chef. I liked both menus and it's, in my opinion, always worth the extra fare to go into the Archipelago. On the next morning we were arriving in Marseille together with a ship of MSC, and this will be a problem in a second, but now it's time to leave my cabin, head for breakfast, and then unfortunately I have to leave this beautiful cruise ship and my cruise comes to an end. And now I made one mistake. I tried to save a bit of money and I didn't book a shuttle to the city center with Costa because I remembered there's the free shuttle bus from the port. But now we not only have the Costa Toscana with more than 6,000 passengers on board, we also have the MSC ship with another around 4,000 passengers. So there are 10,000 potential people that want to go into the city center of Marseille. And even if just a small amount of them is using the bus, the free shuttle bus, there is a problem, and the problem is what we can see here. The queue was huge because there's only one bendy bus every 30 minutes. Yes, the bus is free and you can save some money, but you will lose so much time. I was waiting 1.5 to 2 hours here for the buses. At some point there was like 40-45 minutes, no bus at all. And this is how it looked inside the bus. It was absolutely cramped. People were getting quite aggressive, trying to get into the bus somehow, which is understandable because everybody was just annoyed by the waiting time. So I cannot recommend taking the bus. Even if the cruise company is calling 20-30 euros for a transfer into the city center, this waiting time is not worth the money you can save. I can highly recommend taking the shuttle from the ship. But my mood was getting much better just a couple of minutes later because I checked into my hotel, the NH Collection Hotel, and I received once again an upgrade into the suite. I couldn't believe how lucky I was once again to get such a nice hotel room. But this now also means that this is the end of my series. The next step was to TGV back to Frankfurt. We've already seen that. But we have 2 more videos to come from Genoa. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link. And I hope to see you in my next video then.